All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the virtual chapter for February 2024. Oh my God, it's February 2024 already. I didn't even think this year was going to get here, and now we're 2 months in. So how about that, Karen? How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you very much. I'm a happy camper tonight. It's Mardi Gras. So I dressed for the occasion.
This excellent. It's a triple holiday, everybody. It's Mardi Gras.
It is.
It is Ash Wednesday Eve, or Fat Tuesday, as some people like to call it, or Shrove Tuesday, as some people like to call it. And oh my God, it is the eve of Saint Valentine's Day as well. How about that? When worlds collide. So,
Yeah, no kidding. How about a day where you have to give up chocolate right on the eve of getting a chocolate heart full of all kinds of goodies that you can look at for the next 40 days?
yum, 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 and peeps everywhere. And oh no, that's Easter. Well, they'll be coming soon. They'll be coming soon.
Well, the
Uh,
sugar, if you're giving up sugar for Lent, you can't have beeps either. You got to keep that in mind.
you got to keep your peeps together, man. That's the most important thing.
I made a
If you,
very important I made a very important decision many, many, many years ago. I gave up Catholicism for Lent.
Hmm,
Really well for me too.
I'm giving up sacrifice for Lent this year.
Same thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Same
I
difference.
think that would be a great idea. So anyway, everybody, welcome. We're really glad that you're here. And Karen, I think we might have a couple. I was gonna say menu items. I think I must be hungry or something. We have a couple calendar items that we might want to talk about. You got some stuff coming up that you want to share?
I've got some stuff coming up March 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. Do you have anything before that?
Well, the Galaxy of the Stars. So,
Galaxy. Yeah,
so
yeah.
this very next weekend coming, as I've already said before we started recording, is the Galaxy of the Stars. So 2 days of fun and frolic with some great presenters, four presenters over 2 days, presenting the big four topics. Again, oh no, I'm sorry, we did that last time, didn't we? I don't know what I'm saying. The the byline of the galaxy this time is new perspectives in hypnosis and hypnotherapy. And we made some choices of people that were doing just work that was just a little bit unusual or different and not the sort of stamp molded traditional approaches. And I think they're really going to have some great stuff to share with us. So
For the
I'm sure.
benefit, Michael, of the people who are watching the recording, if they are watching this weeks from now, because people do, is there a way that you can get back issues of the Galaxy of the Stars? Does I do that? Can they?
Well, as a matter of fact, and now they've actually made some changes to their internet store. So when you go to register for for the event for the Galaxy of the Stars, if you just follow the link to it, not only would you be able to sign up for this Galaxy of the Stars, but there are links to all of the past ones because each time the galaxy ends, what we do is we send them out on flash drives to everybody who has registered for the Galaxy. So again, 16 hours worth of video and the guides and handouts and all the other things that come along with it. And we have them for several back. They will run out because we typically order about maybe 25 more than we need because everybody that attends gets them. And then they have that surplus until it sells down. So some of them have fewer left than others, but they are out there, and you can find them on IAC's website in the in the store. So there you go. And so there, the Galaxy of the Stars this weekend, and Karen Hand, I understand that I am going to see you here in Orlando, Florida, uh,
Absolutely, I'll be there
in
the
about a week
29th,
and a half.
the invisible day of the year. I'll be there on the 29th. And then the conference, the ICBCH conference, is the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of March. And Michael will be teaching there. Susan, are you going to ICBCH? No. So show of hands, anybody else going? So that's coming up the first weekend in March. And then after that, do you have a class going, Michael, before I act?
Well, as a matter of fact, in March, I don't. It's weird because now I realize I have no idea what the dates are because I've just been so in the current events. But in March, we have a 5-day certified master trainer training, which is online. In the past, we've done, we do the master trainer training twice a year for people who want to train hypnotherapists. And in the past, we always did it one time. Well, since I've been doing it, we've done it one time online, and we did it the other time at the conference. And to have people attend a 5-day seminar, either the 5 days before or the 5 days after the weekend, is just a little too much. So this time at the conference, we're running the stress management consultant certification training as a post-conference program. That's just 2 days long, and we've moved the CMT class to the month of March. So 5 days. I really apologize that I don't know exactly the dates, but if you're really interested in that, check it out at IX website because all the information is there.
And then we've got IACT IMDHA coming up in May in Orlando, and Hypno Thoughts
Yep.
after that. So, I mean, they were stretching pretty far out. So
Yeah, a lot of stuff. One after another, and it keeps on rolling. So it's been good. It's been a great adventure this year, and a lot of good stuff to come. I'm really looking forward to the conference, by the way, here in Orlando, the IACT IMDHA Hypno Expo in May, and I love the venue. I like that it's really resorty, and it means that we actually, when you're not in classes, are spending most of our time outside. It literally is across well, I just looked through a little path at the end of the property away from SeaWorld, as a matter of fact. So people that like that kind of stuff, and we're on the edge of International Drive, which is where all kinds of cool and groovy stuff is here in Orlando. And then there's, I don't know, some mouse and his girlfriend or something in a castle down the street, and that's pretty groovy as well. And a lot of people like that stuff. Speaking of lovebirds, I
yes.
was thinking there's Donald and Daisy, and there's Mickey and Minnie, and and Porky and Petunia. And they've been holding up for like about 50, 60 years or something like that. So they must have they must have some insight in how to have a good relationship. So
They must. And you and I've held a relationship together quite a while too, I've got to say. In Orlando, I actually do get to see in person, face to face, my hypno husband. But Michael, what is the secret to holding a relationship together?
Oh my God. Well, yeah, so by the way, if I might brag on it just a little bit. My husband and I have been together for 42 years. And I sort of and by the way, for the record, at least in my experience, and especially 40 years ago in the gay community, that's a pretty good record. You know, so I'm really sort of pleased by that. I think the secret is procrastination. Through all the years, we keep thinking, one of these days I'm just gonna, but we never really get around to it because we made an agreement. And I'll tell you what, I do believe that this is the secret. You ask that question, Karen, so you're going to get it. I believe that this is the secret. We made an agreement, and so some of you know about these cattle therapies of the 70s and the 80s, and particularly the EST training, as it was in 1981. And Michael and I met at an EST training, and one of the most important messages of the indoctrination that we were receiving at the time is the most important thing in the world is that you keep your word, that you make your promises rarely and keep them absolutely. So the thing was, we made an agreement to be together. And the interesting thing about that, because I literally had 7 relationships prior to that for a couple of years each, and they all looked pretty much the same. But the difference here was when there were challenges, because there were one or two. When there were challenges, my head never turned to that, oh God, I'm going to get out of here. I had that understanding that here's where I was and here's where I was going to stay. And the thing that was important to me was to be engaged with someone for the duration, someone like family, and so to me, it's just you don't get to trade them in. I think I might have lived well in the old school, you know, when the church wouldn't let anybody get divorced. But seriously, it just has never occurred to me. And what I know is in other relationships and other times, when things get bad, people start thinking about leaving. That's never been one of the things that I thought about. Sometimes I've thought, in Jesus Christ, this is a mess, or what am I going to do about this, or how will we, you know, resolve this particular problem? But by the way, as a good hypnotist, I'm sure you will hear the presupposition, how are we going to resolve this problem? You know, and we do. So there's the secret. But as long as we're on this, you set me up really well for something that we talked about earlier today. To be fair, and I want to give you credit for that. You know, here at Valentine's Day, you know, love, romance. This is sort of the thing that's going on. And I mentioned Donald and Daisy and Minnie and Mickey and Porky and Petunia, you know, and all of that stuff. Um, Beautiful. It's the stuff that romance novels are made out of. Everybody wants that. And oh my gosh, isn't that sweet and lovely? You know, so nice to go for that kind of, if you're into that kind of thing, you know, nice to go for it. Um, However, when I was living in San Francisco, I did a project a whole bunch of years ago because what I noticed, and of course I was considerably younger then, and I appreciate again my sample is gay men in their 20s. So to be fair, 20s, 30s, something like that. To be fair, and I believe this relates to the whole rest of the population, though. The people that I know, when they became single for whatever reason, their immediate thought was, I've got to fill that absence. I've got to fill that emphasis. I've got to get out, go out everybody knows if you want to find, you know, the most noble gentleman to spend the rest of your life in, you should go to the closest bar, right? So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go out and I'm going to get drunk and I'm going to dance my ass off and I'm going to have a relationship with the next person that says yes to me. So with you know, so my friend Kayvon and I that were putting this thing together started thinking about this, and it's like they don't have any criteria. They don't have any awareness. See, by the way, when Michael and I made our agreement, we understood what the agreement was. They don't have any sense of the contract. And what happens with relationships when you don't know what it is that it's a good idea to have some idea about what it is that makes you desirable to your partner and vice versa. And you know, what it is that they expect from you so that you can keep doing it. But what happens instead is sooner or later somebody doesn't do the right thing. And the other person says, well, if you really loved me, then you would this. And now we discover we don't really know each other around this issue and what it means to each of us and what is the nature of the contract that we're in by being in this relationship. So I think that's kind of important stuff for folks. But I did see something else today, a little relief from it on television, and it was a sales guy on, and I don't know, it wasn't The View, but one of those talk shows where every once in a while they have somebody come in and just sell a whole lot of stuff. And he was selling stuff for Valentine's Day. But his theme was interesting. He says, you know, all of that romance, all of that Donald and Donald and Daisy and, you know, Minnie and Mickey and Porky and Petunia is so 2010. Yeah, you know, just so 2010. And these days, I think we should be a little more self-aware, a little more committed to ourselves. And you should be your own Valentine. And on Valentine's Day, you should practice self-love and self-care and self-indulgence. And I think, by the way, for anybody who's into that, have a great time, man. That's, you know, good idea as well. So those are just, you know, thoughts on my mind. What's on your mind, Karen?
Well, that couldn't help. I couldn't help but go off into Miley Cyrus's song. I can buy my own flowers. I can write my name in the sand. I can love me better than you do. That's
Yeah.
kind of the theme that you're
I
talking about.
I can write my name in the sand if I've drank enough beer.
I didn't really plan on going there, but you know, whatever. If you were at Mardi Gras at a celebration tonight, you would be drinking a lot of beer,
Mm.
I suspect. And that's kind of, you know, we talk about Michael and me and our differences. he is poetry and I'm a limerick. Obviously, he is looking at the romance, the Valentine's event, and I'm looking at the party of Mardi Gras. So just a few little differences, but we have agreed to go this route together. And so we're in it to win it. I did want to look a little bit at Mardi Gras because, I think everything is hypnosis and everything is just the offering of a suggestion and you take it or you don't. This, as I show you this shirt, can you tell what it is with the beads on it? Does it make you think of anything? Susan's nodding her head. Susan, what does it make you think of? If you don't mind unmuting.
Let me see it again. It makes me think of a party.
Yes, it's very much a Mardi Gras shirt. It's a party, it's a mask, like,
Yeah.
right? And the beads can really remind one of Mardi Gras, can they not? If you see beads like this, does it make you think of Mardi Gras? I don't know where you are in this country. And Jennifer, I don't know if they do it this way where you are. Do you celebrate Mardi Gras in this kind of way, Fat Tuesday or the day before Lent? No. Well, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I've been in New Orleans, so I know what it's like, but no, we don't celebrate it over here.
It is very much, a Catholic tradition. And in Rio de Janeiro, and after 12th night, you go to Carnival. And especially in very Catholic regions, they are partying as much as they can because they know the end to the party is coming soon. So from 12th night until Fat Tuesday or the day before Lent, you party. And one of the reasons they call it Fat Tuesday is because the whole specific outcome was to get rid of all the flour and the baking goods and all of the stuff that you couldn't have for 40 days and you didn't want it to rot away in the pantries. So they developed a celebration around it. So let's get rid of all this stuff, make your pancakes and make your donuts. In the South, it's very much, Pancake Day. It is National Pancake Day today, actually, but also you have pancakes for Mardi Gras. In Chicago, we have punchkis. Mardi Gras is big here. There are big Mardi Gras parties here, but Poland, there are more Polish people in Chicago than any place outside of Warsaw. So punchkis is their big Fat Tuesday celebration. And that is really a jelly-filled donut. So in Chicago, it's Punchki Day. Again, the theory is you're going into Lent and you want to get rid of all of those fattening things. So the symbolism, the tradition, and the reality of life kind of come together to create beliefs, do they not? Isn't that kind of what happens with our clients when they develop their beliefs? They latch onto a belief and they come to us to say, okay, help me sort this through, help me sort this out. It's interesting how we look at a thing and can have an idea about it. One of the reasons I wore the shirt and asked what it reminded you of, how many of you, show of hands, thought of Mardi Gras just by looking at kind of the face? Yeah. How many of you did not? Yeah, because that too is exactly the way hypnosis works. You offer a suggestion. Some people will take the suggestion. Some people won't. It's just a suggestion. And if you were the hypnotist and you're being really flexible in the dance with your clients, it's a good time to not be rigid in your beliefs, but to roll with it, to go with it, to see what happens and to be flexible and to just take the feedback. For those people, I said, does this mean something to you? I was watching very carefully. That's what a good hypnotist does, right? And I noticed Susan nodded. Oh, good. There's the person I'm going to call on because it's probably going to be a good interchange, right? And that's what we do when our clients latch onto something, light up about something. Oh, good, we're going down the right track. And if they don't, if you are married to a technique or you're married to a protocol and you're really rigid about not veering away from that, you are likely to have some success and you're likely to have some less than success because you're not rolling with the punches or rolling with the feedback. So if a client takes a suggestion, great, that's good feedback for you. We're on the right track. If they don't take a suggestion, good, that's great feedback. I know to go any place other than that. It's just feedback. And so if we are married to the outcome we are expecting, as opposed to the outcome our clients are expecting, we can run into pitfalls. We can run into problems. We can ask questions, we can observe, and we can take the feedback. The big colors of Mardi Gras are like the ones in the beads. You've got purple and gold and green, and they have specific symbolism for the folks in New Orleans, the folks in southern parts of the US, folks in who celebrate this style of Mardi Gras. It has very specific meaning. So their colors that they really put a lot of effort into this time of year are green, gold, and purple. I'm curious because I know what they say it means. I know what the protocol says. I know what the rules say. What I'm much more interested in, Dennis, would you play with me for a second? Would you unmute and play with me? So what does the color gold mean to you? What is the symbolism of the color gold? You're still muted, Dennis.
I see. Okay. Now, because I have to fiddle with my microphone. Are you
I'm
hearing me?
sorry. Yeah. You're perfect now. Thank you.
Gold strikes me as opulence or some a well-being of being wealthy, really.
Wealthy, opulence, well-being. Got it. What does a green symbolize?
Green symbolizes all of the growth and the vegetation around the earth.
And what about purple?
Well, I think I don't think I should mention a bruise. That's not a good one.
If that's what comes to mind, that is exactly what I want you to mention. Yes. Now let me just break for a second. We'll come right back to that, but I just want to show you how everything is feedback. If you were just hypothetically talking to somebody about this and they say, you know, every time I see the color purple, I think of a bruise. Boy, if you want to take them into hypnosis, if you want to do something with them, you probably want to avoid any link to the color purple because their specific reference to it, the first thing that came to his mind was not what they have in mind in New Orleans, which is justice. Notice the look on Dennis's face. Oh, it doesn't make any difference, Dennis, what the rules say, what the colors stipulate in New Orleans. The only thing I'm concerned with, if I'm working with a client, like I'm playing with you here, is how do you define it? If I were going with a Mardi Gras protocol, I would say purple is justice. So if I want my client to think of justice, I'm going to use metaphors with purple through it. Not if I'm working with Dennis. I'm not going to go on the New Orleans Mardi Gras stipulation of what purple is all about. I'm going to ask him what his idea of it is and roll with that. For Mardi Gras protocol, green indicates faith. But Dennis sees it as growth. If that came up in conversation, don't we have a great metaphor to work with Dennis on? Growing meditation. Oh, think about the green and the lushness of how lush your life can be as you step through the garden into whatever your greatest aspirations are. Making it up as I go, right? We're not going to any specific thing. But what I'm saying is we go with his ideas, what he's thinking about. And gold, according to Mardi Gras protocol, is power. Dennis sees it as opulence and wealth. Opulence has a little bit of nuance to it that it almost has a pejorative connotation, does it not? Again, it's a little bit of nuance that we'd love to notice in our client and tailor what we're doing toward that BS, his BS, belief system. He's carrying it around. He brought it in with him. Let's find out about it. So we can go with the protocol. We can flip around. Dennis, thank you very much. I appreciate you as always. And it's a little lesson to look toward life with love in your heart, as Michael suggests. Oh, let's all take that suggestion. And with a note to the nuance, as I suggest, pay attention and observe your clients. So, Michael, are you ready to move ahead, move forward?
I think that would be a great idea, as a matter of fact. And thank you so much for that. By the way, I just wanted to tell you, just because you said it, purple, it's you surprised me with that, because purple for me is about royalty. Uh,
Me
and it's
too.
yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So we don't play the Mardi Gras protocol well. But that's okay. We will be learning some things about love tonight. And if you want to get, I'm sorry, did I cut you off, Michael?
Oh,
Oh,
I'm registering delight.
so if you want to get a little love tonight, you've come to the right place just ahead of Valentine's Day, because we've got Susan Marco with us tonight. And I got to tell you, I I fell in love with this woman's energy a long time ago. As Facebook friends, I could just tell that she had this gentle spirit, and became very intrigued with her. I think she's wise. I think she's wonderful. And I went to see her at a Hypnothoughts conference and just thought her style with the demonstration that she did was wonderful. And I really wanted to bring it to you and have her share it with you. Timeline reset, get more love and joy. And by the way, she's promised, and we're going to hold her to it, that she'll do a demo before the night is over. So, Susan, get ready for that. So let me tell you a little bit about Susan. Not only do I think she's wonderful, she is a advanced clinical hypnotist. She helps people learn how to reach deep states of learning, healing, and creativity. She's an international timeline reset practitioner, international delete reset practitioner, family freedom protocol practitioner, sexual freedom hypnosis practitioner. Wow, these processes enable the client to release long-held stuck emotion, limiting beliefs, and addictions. Very effective for releasing trauma, PTSD, and almost anything that keeps the person from thriving. She's also guided by her training and experience in clinical hypnosis, teaching children meditation, spiritual coaching, Qigong practice, personal transformation, work, and pragmatic meditation and awareness training. And in her spare time, Susan serves as chairperson for Long Branch HEARS, that's Health Education, Addiction, and Recovery Support, and is co-founder of Family Addiction Network, a volunteer peer-run support for family those impacted by substance use disorder. Wow. Is that an amazing resume? It is no wonder I felt the love even through your Facebook posts. So I'm really interested in what got you specifically to hypnosis, and I'll ask you that first, Susan, if you don't mind. But then I really want to get right into what is timeline reset? How can we get more love in our life? How did you get to hypnosis, though, through all of that?
First of all, I want to go take a nap now after I listen to that. Yeah, so I spent 35 years of my life as a massage therapist. So most of my adult life up until I got my hypnosis training was teaching people how to relax and how to be calm in their bodies. And so when I was kind of at that point of my heart wasn't really in it anymore, I sat down and I had a talk with myself, and someone had mentioned to me several years before that I should lean into a hypnosis training. At the time, I couldn't see my way there. But at this moment, when I was sitting and having a moment with myself, I had an aha moment. And so I started looking around and I found a local teacher and I got a good basic training. His modality specifically was in regression to the cause of an issue and using parts therapy to negotiate with the part to, you know, heal or let go of whatever that particular issue was. And so I started my practice doing that. That was in 2018. And for whatever reason, and to this day, I really am not sure why, but those modalities were not really working for me and my clients. whether that was that I needed more training, or whether that was not really what was resonant for me and my specific way, my gifts, my talents and abilities, I didn't judge it. I just thought, well, what am I going to do from here? And at the same time, I was healing something of my own, and I reached out to, oh gosh, I'm forgetting her name now, but I reached out to a woman who had created a couple of big conferences, and I said, who should I work with? Like, this is the thing that I'm looking to heal. And she said, you have to call Emma Romano in Australia. She's your girl. So, back, that was early 2019. I didn't even know what Zoom was at the time, but I reached out to her. She was already on Zoom working with clients, and she walked me through this protocol called Timeline Reset, which, by the way, it's not timeline therapy, not to be confused. And, when I think about love and the lack of love that I had for myself for many years growing up, I'm still growing up, but for many years of my life, there was not a lot of love for myself. And so one of the things that shifted quite instantly after doing this session with the first time I had a session with Emma was a sinking into and a drifting into myself, the true me, without all of the other stuff that I had been carrying around with me. And so that was what inspired me to lean in and learn how to do this modality, which I honestly will say is probably 80 to 90% of how I start with most of my clients who come to see me. I'm not sure if I'm answering your question, Karen.
You did. You told me exactly how you got to hypnosis. Now I'm eager to hear you say it's not timeline therapy, but what is timeline reset?
Yeah, timeline reset is a really simple, it's a really simple, easy, powerful tool that helps people to release long-held negative emotion, long-held limiting beliefs, all of the BS that you mentioned before. And that's it in its simplest terms. And it's funny because when I first had a session with her, I thought, this is really easy. I get it, and so I took what I remembered from having this session with her, and I did it with a couple of clients. And then it was great. And then I thought, this is really a little out of integrity. I should probably lean in and do a training with her. And that's when my relationship with her really started. So I did her video training, and then I attempted to do a live training with her, but she's in Australia. So I got the time wrong, and I screwed it up, and I missed the live training, but was able to catch up after the fact. And a little side story I'll tell you is that I had reached out to her after I did these 2 video trainings, and I said to her, would you consider certifying me? Because, I've done 2 of your trainings essentially now. And she said, you know what, I need to see you in action. So jump on Zoom with someone and bring someone in through a session and let me see how you work. So I jumped on with a friend who had also studied with her. And one of the beliefs that I had, and I think we've all struggled with this at some time or another, but one of the beliefs that I had was that I was not worthy of being heard, that nobody really cares what I have to say. Why would anybody want to listen to me? So I did the session with her, and the idea was to release that belief. And we went through the process, and I smashed it out. And when we were done, she said to me, what is one action? What is one massive action that you can take right now in this moment to prove to yourself that all of these new things that you've come up with today are this is the real deal. This is who you are, and moving forward where you're going to be. And I looked around the room, and gosh, I don't know what I can do. And all of a sudden I saw my cell phone, right? And I thought, I have to jump on Facebook right now and do a live video. I was terrified. Like I thought, what am I going to even talk about? Right. So, but I had to do it. So I jump on Facebook, and honestly, this is me on my phone while she's watching me, witnessing me. I jump on, I was like, oh my gosh, guys, you wouldn't believe it. I just did this session with this woman to release this belief that you don't want to hear what I have to say. Well, can you imagine that? Guess what? You're going to be sick of seeing me because I'm going to be on Facebook all the time doing live videos now. And thank you for listening. And I put my phone down and I was sweating. I broke out in just, whoo. But you know what? That belief has not been a problem for me since. I'm not going to say that that doesn't come up. Before I did my presentation at HypnoThoughts, I was a little nervous because I'm relatively new in the grand scheme of hypnosis, who's practicing 20 years, 30 years, 40, 45 years. And here am I. And why would anybody want to, who am I to say? Why would anybody want to listen to me? But as soon as I heard that thought come up, that feeling come up, I caught it. I heard it. And I said, oh, no, that's the old stuff. We're not listening to that anymore. That's not the belief that I have today. The belief that I have today is I have the goods. And I'll tell you something else. That next morning after I did that live video, 3 people from my Facebook feed reached out to me wanting to know what was this work that I was doing. So we know as practitioners, that's what we want. We want to get that feedback. We want to have, the response from our listeners. But what really struck me in that moment was, oh my gosh, I've been keeping all the goods to myself because of a belief that wasn't even ever true. And also, I will tell you that shortly after that, in a meditation, I came to a memory that I had of when I was 5 or 6 years old. And I didn't start talking till I was 4. So you can imagine when I started talking, I didn't shut up. I don't know if any of you have any precocious children in your life, but I was like a handful. If I had to take care of me now, I think I would kill me 5 times a day. Honestly, it was a lot. But there was a moment, and my father, who was a good man, but was very intolerant and very impatient. We were in the car. This is the memory. Is it true? I don't know. But I was doing my talk thing, and my father just lost his cool and turned around and yelled, "Shut up," at this little 5, 6-year-old who was, I thought I was the best thing since Swiss cheese, really. I was very alive and awake and precocious and vivacious. And in that moment, I could feel the fear and I could feel the shame that came up for me. And so what a gift it was. I mean, look, through the years, I did a lot of healing and I worked with a lot of really amazing people. And as we mature, of course, some of those things will change. But it was when I did that session that belief became history.
Really a beautiful testimonial there. Jen, I don't mean to jump in on you, but did you have a question? I mean, you look very intrigued. Okay, I just wanted to make sure that there wasn't a question there. Susan, I don't want to take over here and direct this in any way. I'm really curious to see a demo, but I don't want to rush things.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if it would be a good idea for us to see a demo and then be able to ask questions about it.
Yeah. So what I was thinking was, rather than demo with one person, I would like to give everyone the opportunity to experience what it feels like. So we can do a little group process to release something that you've been holding on to. And, I was thinking about, when I was preparing for what I was going to say and what I was going to do, how many people, you prepare and then when you get here, it all goes out the window, right? But I'm curious now, not everybody has their video on, but I'm very curious who here has ever been in love? Raise your hand. And if you want to turn your video on, you could use the little reaction button if you want. Who here has been in love? Maybe a question would be, who has never been in love? Has anyone not ever been in love? Oh, isn't that a relief? Who's in love right now? Yeah. And who here is in love with themselves right now? Yeah, lovely. So, listen, these questions can be a little bit of a sticky wicket, right? Because what comes up for you if you're not answering yes, if you're not feeling like you're in love with yourself, if you're not feeling, if there isn't an object of your affection at the moment, it brings up all kinds of emotions and beliefs, right? Low self-esteem or whatever it is for you. Everyone is different. So what I'm curious about, or what I'd like to ask you, does everyone have paper and pencil handy, or paper and pen? Loose leaf paper, preferably. All right, there's a couple of things in the chat. I'm just going to check. Oh, okay, thank you. Yeah, so I'll let everybody get some paper and pen. And what I'd like you to do is just take a moment. If you need or want to close your eyes, that's fine. But I want you to tune in for a moment to what is the biggest block for you when it comes to feeling love. And even if you are a person who is in love with someone else or in love with yourself, what might be in the way of you feeling even more of that? So it could be an emotion, perhaps a bit of shame left over. It could be a belief of there's no one really for me, or I'm not worthy of that. But whatever it is for you, I want you to write that belief on the top of the page. Or if it's an emotion, write the emotion. And I want you to tune into that for a moment. And I want you to, on a scale of 1 to 10, how big a problem is that for you? 10 being a big problem, 1 not so much. Beautiful. Does everybody have that? Yeah, good. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put you into a quick, relaxed state. This is not going to be a deep state of hypnosis. You're just going to close your eyes and get very relaxed. And I'm going to bring you through a little metaphor. And what we're going to do in this metaphor is you're going to have an opportunity, with permission from your unconscious mind, you're going to have an opportunity to rewrite the belief. So what I'm going to ask you to do is just get comfortable, sitting in your chair. And if you don't mind, I'll have you focus on a spot in front of you, on the wall in front of you. Just raise your gaze maybe 10%, focusing on that spot, breathing in through your nose and out through your mouth. And again, breathing in through the nose. And on this next exhale, just allow your eyes to gently close, relaxing more in your chair. And imagine a ray of calming light that is shining through the top of your head and filling the back of your eyes, calming and filling and continuing down to the back of your nose, filling your ears, your mouth, down to the front of the throat, soothing and calming, and now filling the The shoulders can hold so much tension. So now feel that just drop out and feel the calming light filling your shoulders with safety and relaxation. And feel that soothing, calming light filling your chest, down to the tummy, down to the hips, tops of the thighs, just listening to my voice and feeling so relaxed now. And feel that relaxing light flowing into the shins, tops of the ankles, tops of the feet, and reaching right to the end of the toes. That's right, feeling relaxed and comfortable. And now feel that light fill up under your feet to your heels, the back of your ankles to the calves, feeling even more relaxed now and feeling safe with my voice. That light now fills the back of the knees to the back of the thighs, and now all the way up to the spine and spilling out to relax all of the muscles and any tension being held in the back now releasing. And feel that calming, relaxing light filling the back of the neck now and all through the head. That's right. Now, in front of you, I want you to imagine, in whatever way you imagine, whether you see, feel, hear, or just sense that there is a big office building in front of you. And you can see a huge front door on this office building. Now, your unconscious will go as fast as I tell it to go. You walk up the 3 steps of this building and you open the door, and you open it with ease, and you see a plain and dull long hallway in front of you. And you walk up this long hallway towards a brown door with the words Life Records on it. You push this door with ease, ready to release whatever this thing is that is in your way. And you see a room full of filing cabinets. And you search for your filing cabinet. It's up ahead on the left. It's the one with your name on it. That's right. Now, what I want you to do is walk over to this filing cabinet, and I want you to open the top drawer, and I want you to pull the first file out of this drawer. And this is your block. This is your issue, the thing that you are ready to release. And I want you to look at that file. I don't want you to open it. I just want you to notice, what color is it? How big is it? Is it small, medium, large? Now, on the other side of the room, you're going to notice a huge industrial shredder. But before you start shredding, I'm going to ask your unconscious mind if it is ready to safely release this problem that is not serving you anymore. Raise your hand if you're ready to let that go. Beautiful. Now, what I want you to do gently and easily, when you're ready, I want you to open your eyes and write down on the paper. I want you to convince your unconscious mind why it is time and why it is safe to let this, whatever this is, why it is safe to let it go. So on the count of 3, you're going to open your eyes and you're going to start writing. 1, 2, 3. Open your eyes now, put pen to paper, and write, why is it safe to let this go? Who are you without this problem? Finish the sentence. By releasing this problem, I now choose to be. By releasing this problem, I now choose to feel. My future is now. That's right. Now, in a moment, I'm going to count to 3 and I'm going to clap my hands. And when I clap my hands, you're going to know the direct answer of why it is time and that you are ready to let this go. 1, 2, 3. Write it down. What is the one big learning that your unconscious needs to know in order to release this forever? That's right. And if you're finished, when you're finished, you can close your eyes and sit back and relax, keeping your eyes closed. That's right. Sitting back, relaxing, feeling so relaxed. You're doing so well now. Just letting that integrate. Now, if you're ready, take that file over to the other side of the room to that shredder, that industrial shredder, and pop that file in the shredder and watch all those little pieces of paper come out the bottom of that shredder. And while that's happening, if you look to the left of that shredder, you'll notice a source of fire. It could be a bonfire, could be a fireplace, whatever you want to imagine, could be a furnace. Scoop up all those little pieces of paper and throw them in the fire and watch it burn to ash. Shredding and burning, letting all that stuff go. That's right. Doesn't that feel amazing? Like, woohoo! Do a happy dance in yourself for letting that go. Now, if you look to the right side of the room, you'll see a brown wooden table. And oh my gosh, this table is just beautiful. And you walk over to that table, and on that table, you'll see a pile of files, the most amazing colors that you could ever imagine. I want you to choose the perfect color file to replace that original file. What color is the new file? When you have it, open your eyes and write it down. What color is that new file? And give that file a name. What do you want to call it? What is all this new, beautiful stuff that you're installing for yourself? Feeling so good. Feeling so relieved. Now you can take that beautiful new file back over to the filing cabinet, open that top drawer, and put that file in the drawer where the other one was. Close the drawer, turn around and lean up against that filing cabinet and take a deep sigh of relief, like, "Ooh, thank God we got rid of that thing." Yes, beautiful. Now you can walk over to the doorway and you can open that door and step out into that hallway, which is now no longer dull. That hallway is now filled with that beautiful new color that you chose. And it's just amazing in that hallway now. It's all lit up and you run and you skip and you dance. It's like a disco in that hallway. And you're like, whoop, whoop. You're just having such a good time in that hallway. You spin toward the front door and you open that door and you notice you're now standing at the threshold of your future. I want you to step through that threshold and allow yourself to see how positive things are now. That's right. It feels so good because now you can have all of those things that you so easily created in this moment. And when you're ready, coming back into the room, dropping back into your body, and in your own time, opening your eyes. Welcome back. Feedback. How's anybody feeling? What was your experience? I know you probably have questions. Anyone want to share? Don't all jump in at once. Jennifer,
Yeah, I'm not afraid to share.
thank you.
Let's see. Mine was unworthiness, and I was a 2. And so yeah, it was really good to get all that out. And my file was turned into a rainbow. It was nice to walk through the path of everything. And so yes, everything turned into a rainbow, and I named my file glowy, shiny, magnetic, and yeah, it was beautiful. It was
Beautiful.
very
Yeah,
lovely
you know,
experience.
normally when I do this one-to-one, you know, if we were doing this one-to-one, I'd be writing down your answers. We would be interacting and you would be speaking your answers. And, you know, I'll often recalibrate that and ask, what number are you at now?
Mm.
Kind of slipped through the cracks, so I'm sorry about that. But, you know, it's kind of, honestly, it's all a little bit fluff. Like how, you know, the format that we use, like if I did this with a 12-year-old recently to release anger, frustration, and sadness. And she loves to read. So I took her into a library and she pulled the crappy book off the shelf and smashed it and shredded it and burned it, and then created her new thoughts, her new learnings, and chose a new book and put that on the shelf where the other one was. You know, we have these metaphors, pulling leaves off of trees. You know, really you can frame this any way you like, but it's really very simple and direct. Yeah. Thank you for that. Yeah. Anyone else? Any questions?
I was wondering, when you have us open our eyes and write down things,
Mhm.
I know I believe there's the intention behind that, like just when we do like the open your eyes, close your eyes, open your eyes. But this incorporated like actually writing something down too. And I was just wondering a little bit more about that.
So I'm not exactly sure what you're wondering about.
Is that just part of the process, or is there a purpose behind, like, you know, whenever you're doing certain sessions, you'll have someone open the eyes or look up at a spot, eye fatigue. So this one was opening eyes, but writing something down, closing eyes, visualizing, then writing, opening eyes, closing again. So I was wondering if that's part of the process or if there's a unique style that's being done there. Because I've done open and close eyes before, but I've never like had somebody write something down.
Yeah, so because we're in a group, that's the only reason that I did that, because it's, you know, again, if you're one-to-one with someone, and Karen had seen me do the one-to-one in Vegas, you're back and forth with your client. They don't have to open their eyes at all.
Okay.
Yeah, Karen.
But it's all fractionation.
Mm-hmm.
Either
That's
way,
what I was looking for. Thank you, Karen.
even if you're opening and closing your eyes in a constant thing, or if you're asked a question, go inside, come back out to give the answer with your eyes wide open, fully wide awake, that's all fractionation. That's why we can be hypnotized so easily wide awake without even knowing it's happening to us, because just answering a series of questions is hypnotic.
Mm-hmm.
And so it deepens the trance. You come out, you write something, you go back in. You come out, you write something, you go back in. That deepens the trance miraculously all along the way, magically. Thank you,
Yeah.
Susan.
And also, you
Right,
know,
right.
in asking the questions, you know, like finish the sentence for me. I now choose to be. There's when I do this one-to-one with a client, there's a lot of pre-framing. So we don't actually do this protocol until session 3. Sometimes session 2, depending on, you know, what we're working on and where the client is, because some people, you know, they're ready to go. But, you know, I do a lot of pre-framing about the conscious and the unconscious mind, so that my client is ready and they understand that, you know, the unconscious mind doesn't understand negatives, right? So we always coach that their answers are in the positive. But to your point, Karen, there's a lot of asking of questions, which engages the unconscious mind. It engages the imagination so that, you know, you're not really left to your own. It's all about bringing all of that up for the client. Yeah. Yeah.
One piece of feedback, I will admit that when you wanted me to bend over and scoop up all those little pieces of paper, I said, damn it, if I'd have known I was going to do this, it would have gone into a bucket. And I'd picked
Ah,
it and sprinkled it into the water.
okay.
But notice that I had that thought and it didn't interrupt the process. It didn't change anything at all. I just thought, if I'd have known that ahead of time, I'd have dumped that stuff in a bucket instead of all over the floor that I had to get down there and clean up.
You know, I love that. And I've had, actually, it's really interesting. Sometimes clients will, in the middle of the session, you know, they're good and relaxed, and they'll say, you know, I'm not in a room. I don't see any filing cabinets. You know, I'm outside in the woods. Oh, great. So we just, you know, make that metaphor, make that story appropriate for wherever they are. So it's really about permission, relaxation, and then, you know, creating what it is that you want to replace that original problem. You know, for me, letting go of that belief of I'm not worthy of being heard, it was, of course, I'm worthy of being heard. People are interested in what I have to say because I have a lot of cool stuff to share. So why wouldn't they be interested? Right? And Jennifer, did you have another question?
Yes. So somebody the other day had said, oh, I don't like the burning thing. You know, I wouldn't burn stuff.
Yeah.
And so do you have other, I'm just trying to imagine, being with the client and you're going with whatever their flow is and they're telling you, oh, I don't like burning stuff. So what are some of the other things that have come up? Do you lead them to the shredder, or do you say, what would you like to do with this? You know, this.
Sometimes I'll leave it to them. I'll ask them, what would you like to do with it if you're not going to burn it? Maybe you'd like to throw those pieces of paper in a river and watch it float downstream.
Okay. Yeah.
Or, you know, you can create whatever you want. Maybe
Right.
you'd like to take those pieces of paper and throw them in the garbage can and put
Yeah.
the bin outside for the
I'm
collection.
thinking toilet.
Yeah, throw it down the toilet. Yes.
Don't do that in Mexico, my friend. You'll stop
Yeah.
it. Sorry.
Yeah. It's a different experience in Mexico for sure. Yeah.
I love that it was a beautiful riff on the kind of control room of the mind aspect. Go into the control room of the mind, and there are all the. It was beautiful and can be so tailored to that one limiting belief or whatever it is. I loved it. I even liked the whole thing about the trees. Oh, you're in a forest. Excellent. Which tree is it behind? Go
Yeah.
find it where your limiting belief is behind the tree, or whatever you want to go off on.
Yeah, or, you know, find the tree that has all the yucky leaves on it. Pull those yucky leaves off. You know, you can do the fire idea. Again, you could throw them in the river and watch them float. Whatever metaphor is comfortable for you. And by this point, usually we know our client pretty well. And if not, they're going to come up with whatever they come up with in the session. And because you're just it's a very light state of trance, there's a lot of interaction. So often the client will guide the session.
And there's nothing wrong with saying, oh, that's an even better place. Great.
Yeah.
Right. Because you're just staying in rapport with them. That was lovely. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
So is that the timeline reset, or is this a part of the process? Can I ask?
So that is the timeline reset. And, you know, so when I do it in an actual program, like this was a little taste, it was a little sample so that you could get a sense of how it feels. When I do this one-to-one with a client, we'll do the first session is like an intake or a pour out really for them. And I have a series of questions that are, you know, a little NLP, just kind of getting them to loosen up and talk about what their problem is. And that begins the healing for them, because as we know, most of the time people don't have the opportunity to really be heard in whatever the issue is for them, right? Then the second session is all educational. So I do a lot of different things on that session, but empowered, disempowered, how to step out of being in, a victim state of mind or a framework into taking responsibility and recognizing that we're choosing everything. There's a bit that I do about the structure of reality and how we take information in, how many bits of information do we absorb at any given time, and which bits do we choose based on our filters. And what's happening in this moment is that the client is starting to realize that, oh, if I change my beliefs and I change my emotions, maybe I could choose better information. Maybe the data that I take in could serve me better, right? So it's all pre-framing to then do this part where by this point, they're ready. They already, I'm done. I want to let this go. It's really fun. And a lot of times people come in, they'll go, what if I do it wrong? I'm not sure, people get into doubt or, a little bit of fear about, am I going to know what to say and what to do? And every client comes out of this and says, wow, that was cool. Like, I had no idea that I had all that in there.
I also love it. It just occurred to me. I kind of picked up on, I guess, a double dissociation, because you first have them shred the limiting belief and then you have them pull further away from it by doing something else to it, getting rid of it even further. I love that.
Yeah. And always, always, always I celebrate. Like, as soon as they let that go, it's like, woohoo, let's do a happy dance or something. And so, they've let it go, and then they're lifting themselves up. It's honestly so cool. And I'll tell you, I will do this for a lot of different issues. When people come in, I had 4 in a row recently with a fear of driving on the highway. So I started with timeline reset. I had them release the fear, the anxiety, the frustration, usually we go in a little bit of an order with the emotions, because you kind of really want to let go of anger, frustration first. Then sadness is often behind that. Fear, hurt, shame, guilt. And then I do whatever I'm going to follow through with to reframe them around the fear of driving, to create that safety, to create that sense of control, and, that they don't really need that anymore. They don't need that fear anymore. So this is like a punctuation mark, actually.
So can I get into a little bit of the nitty gritty of how you run this program or your programs? I'm guessing that you don't do because you said this is usually the second session, you don't do a single session type of practice. So how do you decide who goes into a program, what you're going to do?
So that's a really good question. It depends on, when you interview your client, and there are some people who I'll have a feeling or a sense that we could probably blow through a lot in one session, but for me, it's been rare. So most of the time, for the driving issue, I instinctively, with the first one that came in, I felt like 3 sessions would be enough. And it was. And so the second one came in and we had the intake, and it felt the same to me. So I created that 3-session program for fear of driving. The fourth one called me recently. It was like a month ago that I worked with her, and she said, I'm like 75% better. Is there something else that we can do? And so she's going to come and see me next week. We're going to do a little something different. you know, whether it's, you know, a phobia release or whatever, you know, we throw in whatever we can. So, but usually if someone comes in and, you know, it depends on the issue. I had a woman come in who had, her husband betrayed her. He stepped out on the marriage, and she really just wanted to get a sense of herself back. She felt like she had lost her power a little bit. She felt like she just wasn't really sure where she was at. And so we did 4 sessions. Session 3, we released the emotions. She went home. Session 4, she came in and we released the beliefs. And it was amazing. She felt completely different. And there's a couple of other logistical things, and that is what you have written down on your papers. And we all know, what are the things that sustain change? 2 things that you really need to sustain change. One is repetition. So the things that you've written down on your paper, you want to remind yourself, you want to read those things to yourself, usually for about 30 days. What is it, like 21 days our cells regenerate, right? So we want to go through a full cycle of repeating those new learnings to ourselves, so that as we're creating that new neural pathway, right, we're releasing that pathway of I'm not worthy, and we're continuing to repeat and create that new pathway of wait, I am worthy and I'm awesome and I've got all these things going for me. The second thing is taking action. So when you have a new belief, like for this woman, you know, her new belief was I'm safe and I can trust myself. And, you know, when I asked her what was her action that she could do to prove that to herself, she came up with it herself. She said, I'm going to go home and have a really frank conversation with my husband. And she did, and it was very healing for them because she was coming from a new perspective on it all. Does that answer your question, Karen?
It did. And do you tend to use this protocol with all of your clients, or do you do other things as well?
I do other things as well, but I'm going to say probably 80% of the people who come and see me will go through this. Personally, I think everyone in the world should experience a reset, because who doesn't? We all have stuff. I don't care how advanced we are. I don't care how far along we are. As a matter of fact, the more advanced, the more I learn, the more I realize how much I need to learn. Right? So there's always something that we can heal. There's always more that we can, there's a deeper level or a deeper layer that we can look at. So I would love if everyone in the world had this kind of experience and this kind of shift. But I'm flexible.
It's no wonder that she is the Timeline Reset American ambassador, right? How did that come about? How did that
I got to
come?
tell you, it's such a funny story. So I had a daydream. I was just sitting here one day and I was thinking to myself, you know, Emma's in Australia and I love this program so much. And every time I talk about it, I light up and I'm really excited. And I thought, it would be funny if I was like the American representative or whatever you want to call it. So I messaged her and I said, I just had this daydream I want to share with you that, you know, that you asked me to be the American representative or the American ambassador. And her response was, I love that. Let's do it. And then I thought, oh my gosh, what did I get myself into? But it's a beautiful thing.
Well, she was there at HypnoThoughts watching you and just very impressed. She loved your work.
Yeah. Well, I'm impressed with her too. You know, we have a love relationship with each other. And, you know, back to love, whatever is, it's our birthright. In my personal opinion, love, we are born, we come into this world. It's one of the gifts. It's one of the things that we have. And, you know, sometimes it gets, you know, we get talked out of it in some way or another. And we take on beliefs and ideas and thoughts that are really not our own. And so anyway, in my mind, any way that we can clear the decks and free ourselves of whatever is in the way of feeling that love and that joy, and being true, being authentic, being true to who we are, that's a win-win to me. Yeah.
Do you have anything else that you would like to share with us?
Let me see. I have notes all over the place here.
While you're looking, are there any other questions that came up? Oh, Michael, are you asking a question? You're muted.
I am muted. I'm sorry. I was just really there's just something I'd like to sort of double up on and to remind some of the other listeners as well. Susan, you said something that's really, really important to me just a couple minutes ago when you were talking about a client and it was sort of a casual sentence at the end of your description, but you said she had a different perspective.
Yeah.
And to me, I think in the long run, this is what we're always doing. We're essentially taking the map that a person has and moving them through change work in such a way that they now begin to see the same thing from a different angle or a different way. I always quote. So I got it. It's that time of the year, I guess. I've got to quote T.S. Eliot. And my favorite quotation from T.S. Eliot is all about what we do in training. It's all about what we do in transformation with our clients. And Eliot says, "We shall not cease from exploration, and the end of all our exploring will be to arrive at last at the place where to arrive at last where we started, and to know that place for the first time." I think that's just lovely, lovely stuff. So I really appreciate what you're doing. Oh, and here's the thing I wanted to add. So for the benefit of everybody knows, I'm not going to take more than a moment of your time with this, but for the benefit of everybody that knows about the meta pattern, look at the exercise that we just did. It starts out engaged in a problem description, essentially steps out of it, gathers resources, and steps back into the context in a new way. So that thing that several of us have talked about on a number of occasions is represented yet again in another piece of change work. So thank you, Susan.
Beautiful. Thank you for that. Yeah.
Very elegant, layered work. And that's kind of what we do, isn't it? We take what we know and we build on it and we create things. It's interesting to me that you didn't particularly care for going back to regression to cause, but you were definitely using some of those principles in this technique because you're asking people to look back. What is it that's troubling you? They don't have to go back into the mire. You don't have to take somebody into trauma, but what is it? Let's write it down. Let's look at it and let's think about it in a different way, put it in a different perspective. That's pretty much what you do in regression work too, right?
Yeah. And
although I think you believe differently about this protocol than any regression protocol.
Say again?
I think you may believe differently about this protocol than any regression protocol.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that initial training that I got was priceless. I learned a lot from that. But as I say, I really believe, because look at how many practitioners, so many people out there doing regression work, and I still will occasionally, if it's really called for and I'm called to do it. I will do a regression. I'll communicate with the different parts. We can merge all of these things together. It's like the sexual freedom hypnosis training with Kaz. I love her training, right? And I utilize that in conjunction with this. So they're not separate modalities for me. They're tools in my box. And I happen to love this tool for me, it's the most resonant, but I incorporate a lot of different things into that as well. Even in, I do some group programs. Last year, I did a series of goddess-oriented workshops that was a combination of all of this for empowering women, for women to feel empowered and to be able to receive and step into their femininity in a different way, because we seem to have forgotten that a little bit.
I think on that note, today is Galentine Day, is it not?
Is it today or is it tomorrow? I
I
don't know.
think Galentine Day is the day before Valentine's Day.
Oh,
That's when you drink a gallon of what?
No, this was from Parks and Recreation, that TV show. Amy Poehler's character had Galentine Day, where she brought together all of her gal pals.
all the gals hang out.
And it did often involve, I think, a lot of a gallon maybe of wine, but yeah, she brought together all of her gal pals, and they celebrated female relationships on Galentine Day. So empowering the goddesses. Susan brought that to mind. Figured that fun. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. So
Well, this was lovely. I put in the chat room how to get a hold of Susan, but of course, there are some people who are going to be watching the recording, so they won't see the chat. If you want to get in touch with her, you can email Susan at susanmarco.com. Susan is spelled the very normal way, SUSAN, at Susan Marco, spelled the very normal way, MARCO.com. And there aren't any capitals or anything like that. You can use little letters, whatever. She's also at susanmarco.com.
Yeah.
Pretty easy to find.
Susan, really quickly, you mentioned at the beginning when you were introducing yourself that you were a massage therapist for, you said like 25 years or something?
35 years.
35 years. Oh my goodness. Well, here's the thing. I have always contended, and I've done a bunch of work with massage therapists. I think that massage is kinesthetic induction. So in my experience, before you started doing hypnosis, you had so much time working with people as a healer in silence.
Yes.
That I have a feeling that really had an impact on the beauty and the gentleness that you bring. So
thank you. Well, there's one more piece of the puzzle actually that it's really kind of interesting. When I was 25, I met my first meditation teacher, and he taught us a series of techniques that 4 or 5 different things that we would do to go into ourselves, to go into this internal state. And I practiced those things for many, many, many years. And when I first went into the hypnosis training, class 1, class 2, class 3, guess what? All of those steps that he taught us were really self-hypnosis. They weren't meditation classic at all. So I'd been practicing self-hypnosis since I'm 25 years old.
Wow.
And so, that was the aha moment when I was sitting in the class and I said, oh, okay, this is where I'm supposed to be.
Nice.
Yeah. So thank you for that, Michael.
Yeah. Well, we are coming to the end of our time, and I have one thing that I really want to share here with y'all at the end of this Valentine's Eve day, and that is just out of sheer appreciation for my friend Karen Hand. I have channeled the Bard and created a limerick for Valentine's Day. A hypnotist named Karen Hand can make trances especially grand. She fractionates with her eyes to her client's surprise and gives them life-changing hypnotic commands.
Oh my gosh, Michael. I love poem. Had I known, I would have written one. Maybe I'll text you one.
Well, you are fractionating to me, Karen, so
That was lovely. I'm going to have that printed up on business cards, I think.
okay, great.
Or put it on my website. I'll give you credit for it, of course.
All right. All right. Well, so Susan, we love what you brought to us tonight. Thank you so very much. Y'all know how you can get in touch with Susan if you should have a reason to do that. And we hope that Susan, you'll come back and see us again. And all of you are here. Have a lovely Valentine's Day, a lovely Mardi Gras, last chance, man, before the ashes and all of that other stuff. So go out and boogie, and we will look forward to seeing you next month. Same time, same bat channel. So now if we could, everybody open up your microphones so that you can
Thank you,
say good night
Susan.
to Susan, and thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you.
That was great,
Thank
Susan.
you.
Thank you.
We appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thanks everybody for coming. See you next month.
Bye, everybody. See you then.
Thank you.
Bye.